Hello, today in the lesson we're going to solve an example in which perform all mathematical operations involving decimal fractions with precision. So the example looks as follows: 6.2 tenths. The example is not complicated. 6.2 plus 4 whole 8 tenths divided by 2.4 tenths plus 8. 8 multiplied by 1.3 tenths plus 2 whole 4 tenths. And this is the example we need to solve. First of all, we need to put things in order. And as you know, the first step is 4.8 decimals divided by 2.4 decimals, and then in order. 8 whole times 1.3 tenths is the second action. The third action is to find the sum. The fourth action is another sum. And we'll write the result of the fifth action as the answer. Let's remember how division is done. So I'm writing the first action. We need to divide 4.8 tenths. We need to divide by 2.4 tenths. Let's remember how to divide a decimal by a decimal. Decimal. First of all, we need to look at the divisor. There should be no decimal point in this number. So this decimal point, I must move one sign to the right. If I move the decimal point in the divisor, one decimal point to the right, then I must move one decimal point to the right in the divisor. This action, guys, is done simultaneously. So if you move a point to the right by one sign, then in the other number you also move it to the right. The result is 48 divided by 24. And in this case, you won't even need division by column. 48 divided by 24 equals 2. We have completed the first action, the second step. What we need to do, 8 times 1.3. You can do it in a column, or you can ignore the decimal point and multiply 8 by 13. To multiply 8 by 13, I can multiply 8 by 10. That would be 80. And 3 times 8, that would be 24. 80 plus 24, that would be 100. 4. Well, now I have to mark the decimal point on the answer. I have a rule that I follow when it comes to marking numbers after the decimal point. I only mark one digit. Now, how did I do that again? Well, it's all about multiplying. Let's take the example of 8 multiplied by 1.3 tenths. To calculate this, I multiplied the number 8 by 13. After doing the math, I ended up with 80 when I multiplied 10 with 8, and 24 when I multiplied 3 with 8. Adding 80 and 24, I got a total of 104. However, I realized that this time I was multiplying by a decimal, so I need to mark our decimal point, which is to separate the whole part. In our product has only one multiplier with one sign after the decimal point, so I only highlight one sign in the answer. Next action, 3. Be very careful. We need to add the result to 6 whole 2 tenths to 6.2 tenths. And when we divided 4.8 tenths by 2.4 tenths, we got 2. So I'm going to add 6.2 tenths. I'm going to add 2. So to 6.2 tenths, I'm going to add 2. Of course, you could do it in a column, but I realized that 6 whole ones and 2 ones, that would be 8 ones. And that leaves me with 2 tenths. Although you can do this action, you can do it by adding columns. But in this case, do not forget that according to the rules, the decimal point must be under the decimal point. And in our number 2, there is no decimal point. So I write 2 dots and 0. And when I add it up, I get 8 whole ones. 2 tenths. The next activity, the fourth activity. In the fourth step, we need to add the result of the third step to the result of the third step, to the result of the second action. The outcome of the third action is 8.2 tenths. Additionally, I add the outcome of the second action, which is 10.4 tenths. In other words, I combine 8.2 tenths with 10.4 tenths. Once again, I need to perform an addition to determine the sum of 10.4 tenths and 8.2 tenths. This action allows me to calculate the column count accurately. Let's go over the process of adding decimals together. There is a simple rule to follow. The decimal point should align directly under the other decimal point, unlike with multiplication. So, right now, we will focus on addition. If we add 4 to 2, the sum is 6. The decimal point remains as 0, but I augment it with 8, making it 8. Then I add 1 to that, resulting in 1. The outcome is 18.6. Next, we must execute the fifth step without altering anything significant. I have to add 2.4 tenths to the result of the fourth action, and the result of the fourth action is 18.6 tenths. 6 tenths, and plus 2.4 decimals. When I add up these decimal numbers, I have 18 whole with 6 tenths plus 2 whole with 4 tenths. The total sum gives me 20 whole with 1 tenth. Be careful how you write down this action. The decimal point is under the decimal point. This is very important. So now I'm adding it up. 6 plus 4, that would be 10. I only write 0 and 1 I memorize. To 8 I add 2, that will be 10. And 1 in my mind, that would be 11. 1 I write, 1 more I memorize. And to 1 I add 0, that's 1. And plus 1, that's 2. The result is 21. That's the answer to our example. I'm writing down 21. So, today we have repeated the operations that can be performed with decimal fractional numbers. These are division, multiplication, and addition. In the next lesson, we'll solve some more examples. And that's all for today. Goodbye. See you again.